Hello, React Alicante. How's it going? First of all, I really want to thank React organizer to having me here. I'm really excited, and I didn't quite actually sleep properly yesterday. I'm that excited. And thank you so much for everything, and round of applause for everyone for that. Moving on, so today I'm going to take you through a topic or a tool that's going to take your React performance to its next level. So all of you have enough experience with React.js probably, and you may have noticed, if you did, please raise your hand. You may have noticed slow web loading time or janky user experience. If you did, please raise your hands. Awesome. So you're not alone. So I'm going to talk about a tool called Solid.js, which promises to take your existing React.js application performance to its next level. So everyone knows here that React.js has some performance issues. The first one is re-rendering. By default, whenever any state changes happens or prop changing happens, React components gets reloaded. And it can kind of get sometimes really awkward to deal with that. Second one is the bundle size. As React.js application grows a lot, so the bundle size also grows. And to maintain with, if you're like optimizing your web application for good network bandwidth, then it can cause some problem. Third one is context is not working the way it should. So oftentimes I find myself managing context, and whenever I'm trying to pass, like changing any context data, and every component and its child component gets re-rendered, which is really frustrating to deal with that. And last but not the least, lack of fine-grained reactivity. What it does, React is by default is not fully supported built-in. It doesn't support reactivity built-in. You have to use some kind of plugins and all other things. So it kind of and it can't track its state changes quite efficiently. So before going into deeper, let me introduce myself. I'm SUBHAM Bhattacharjee. I come from Bangalore, India. I've been working as a full-stack developer for quite a while. I used to be a Python developer, and since last 3.5 years, I'm working in the front-end development. And React.js, Solid.js, I've been exploring since last 6 months, and I'll take you through my experience of learning it and how I have used it to optimize the performance. Also, you can see the wannabe fighter jet pilot thing. I always wanted to be a fighter jet pilot, but things didn't go well, and here I am in a React.js conference speaking about some framework I learned a few months back. Moving on, I also happen to be a founder of a web design agency, which focuses on building UX-rich user interfaces and does web development, called Binary Blue. If you have any products, please do reach out to us. Sorry for my shameless plug. So what is Solid.js? So Solid.js is a front-end framework built by Ryan Carniato, which focuses on providing reactive system. And we have been discussing a lot Solid.js in this conference. There's a lot of talk already happened, like 3 and 4. We also did a lot of discussion internally with our speakers. And it seems like Solid.js devs are actually winning. Based on, we are actually, the metric here is the bicep size. So the bigger the bicep, the better the developer. So moving on, what Solid.js offers? The first thing, fine-grained reactivity system. What fine-grained reactivity, if I had to simplify, you have a picture, you're drawing a picture, suppose Eiffel Tower, picture of an Eiffel Tower or Taj Mahal, and you want to modify a little bit, a small portion of the picture. Instead of redrawing the whole thing, you just erase very clearly, and you replace that particular part. So that's what fine-grained reactivity system is in SolidJS. It doesn't completely reload all the components all the time. If there is a small changes, it knows where to change that and goes there and changes that particular thing. Second is direct DOM manipulation. SolidJS, you may have already heard about it in other talks. SolidJS allows you to directly manipulate the DOM. And third but not least is lightweight and fast. SolidJS aims to be really small in the bundle size. At some point, it can be at really small as 7 kilobytes. So if you build a project, if you start a project with SolidJS, you will be greeted with this. It almost looks like a typical React.js code. You have your class, you have your component, you have your JSX code. You can pass around props between different components. And if you look at a small like incrementer, like counter program, you can see that both of the codes, almost 90% of the 90% looks like the same. Unless you start to manage the states on React.js. On React.js, you use something called useState. You get two things. One is the current state snapshot, and a method to update that snapshot. You use that method to update those states, and the moment the state gets updated, the whole component re-renders. As you can see that the console log I have added there, it's getting constantly reprinted in the console. Because every time we are updating the state, it's getting re-rendered. The whole component is getting re-rendered. So what React.js does is it takes, whenever you update the state, it takes the whole code, creates a virtual DOM, and compares with the old virtual DOM, checks if there is any differences, and it updates that differences. Now in SolidJS, almost things are almost same. You have your instead of useState, you are using createSignal. Again, you are getting two things. One is the current state snapshot and a method to update that. And that's where that all the similarity is getting in. In SolidJS, the whole component executes only once. And you can see that when I'm incrementing the state, the console log is executing only once. And it's able to pinpoint where to make the change. And you can see the paragraphs getting changed here. So all the virtual DOM creation and comparison is not happening in SolidJS. And it actually allows you to boost the performance of your React.js, like existing React.js application if you migrate it to SolidJS. Let's look at some other example to get more clarity on this. So I'm building here is a 1,000 list of items. We have our component item list, and we're implementing that. What it will do is it will print 1,000 list items. This is on, we're using useState to initiate the items, and basic React, how it typically looks like. And everything looks good here until if you have to change a specific item in that in between that 1,000 elements. It will become really tough to manage that. And if you want to improve the performance with SolidJS, what you have to do, you have to migrate the whole code. Change, instead of using useState, you can use createSignal by SolidJS. Again, we're not changing much of the code here. Instead of mapping, we are using for each for API of SolidJS. You may have already heard it from Attila in his talk, how it gets used, and you're iterating over that. What it allows is that it will be much faster because it's the moment you want to change a specific item list, it will know when to change that and what to change. So I did some benchmarking. This is the available. So SolidJS, you can see it's really fast between other compared to other frameworks. Apart from the fast performance, it also offers you a better mental model. That's why SolidJS is getting popularity for quite a while. It allows you to have it offers you less pitfalls to step into. So suppose you want to, as the component renders only once, you can set a timer function inside that you can update the state as well. So it won't create an infinite loop. And if you do the same thing in React.js, it will create an infinite loop and it will break the whole application. What else SolidJS offers? So I'll try to keep this short because most of the things has been covered by Eric and Attila. So I'll just give you a brief overview on that. So it all SolidJS offers derived signal if you want to create some dependency on the signals. Memos, it's also available on SolidJS to memorize something. Create effects, if you want to create a binder effect with some signals, you'll be able to do that. Create resources, if you want to call an API synchronously, you can do that with create resources. And apart from that, Solid Start. Solid Start is something SolidJS developers are working on. It provides you, it tries to replace Next.js and Remix. What it does is that you can run some amount of code in the server side and some amount of code on the front end. So let's look at some benchmarks here. So I've been working with some projects in SolidJS, and I was able to do some benchmarking on this. The fourth thing I tracked here, the first one is the runtime speed. So this runtime speed is time to time it takes to become interactive. An application that takes, measures how long it will take to get interactive, the application. Second one is the memory uses. It is a total blocking time, measures the whole total amount of the time that page is blocked from responding to the user input. Third one is the network transfer cost. The transfer size, the amount of data that the network will have to transfer from the server side to the front end. And last but not the least, resource size is the whole bundle size it will have. So as you can see that SolidJS is staying almost in the first or second position in all the benchmarks. And you can consider to implement that in your code if you want to. Now, with all the greatness of SolidJS, let's see what are the setbacks it has and what are the cons it has if you want to use it on a large scale. The two things that I came across, maybe not two, but these are the two main things that are concerning me, is there's no defined file structure. Unlike AngularJS, this is not like a framework which is too opinionated and gives you a proper file structure to follow. React also doesn't allow any file structure to follow you, but if your developer are not that experienced, there are times you can mess up your code in terms of file structure. Second is expensive migration. If you have existing React.js code and we wanted to transfer, in our use case, we wanted to transfer our existing React.js code to SolidJS, and we found it really expensive in terms of man hours. But wait, what about we can use it all with the help of micro frontend? Maybe some part of the expensive code we can write it on solid.js and keep your existing some amount of code in the React.js. So in micro frontend, you may have this architecture. Some amount of code is solid.js, Angular, or React.js, and you can use those in production. So I'm still working on the solid.js micro frontend project, and so far what I have understood, these are the things that I'm following, and what I have understood that can be implemented in your micro frontend if you're planning to use it with other, planning to use solid.js with other frameworks. The first thing is you have to be technology agnostic. Each team should be able to choose and upgrade their stack without having to coordinate with other teams. Second is you have to isolate the team code. Don't share any of the runtime. If you have, even if all the teams use the same framework, build independent apps that are self-sufficient. Third is establish team prefixes. Agree on naming convention, on CSS, styling, and all other stuff. And last but not least, build a really resilient site. Even if the JavaScript fails, your basic feature should work. So yeah, this is it. If you plan to use solid.js existing with your existing React.js or AngularJS app, this is not the finite. This is not the last thing. You may have come across many different things that helps you to build micro frontend with this. Do let me know if you figure it out. I'm also doing my research on it. And yeah, thank you. And this is. Also, you can find about the resources that I'm following to learn about the references, learn about the solid.js and how I can use it on my day-to-day project. You can find it with this. I have shared all the references and details. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.